You know Power BI, but still you have lots of questions in your mind. How does it happen? Why it happens? How can I do that? This is the series for you. Subscribe to the channel and press the bell icon to get the notifications. Hello and welcome to another video of Abstract Thesis series, and in today's video we are going to discuss the enhancement which has been done in November 2022 release in the small multiples, that is unshared and unsynchronized the axis for small multiple charts. So what that feature is going to do? So prior to November version we have this shared y-axis. Now this shared y-axis, what happens if you have smaller values, then you are not able to, see what kind of values they are. So like, this is, very less value and this is around 2 million. So this 2 million was deciding everything. But in November 22 release, you are being given two options like shared axis and fit to scale. So what happen is you can switch off the shared axis and you will get your own axis. Now, once you do that, still it is not going to change. You have to choose this property scale to fit, and once you do that, automatically you will see each and every scale is going to adjust to that. So we are going to do two things here. Is one, in the past we have done calculation group, and using the calculation group we use multiple measures on small multiples. So we are going to repeat that exercise and we are going to understand this feature first of all and use it. So let's jump onto the Power BI, and in Power BI I'm going to create a visual, and that is going to be a bar visual. Very simple bar visual I'm going to create. Let me give it complete space, and I bring in this bar visual, let me bring in brand and net. So I have this is my common file which I use, and this is available on Git along with the source sales data used in video, as well as AT small for Git. Okay, so Abstract Thesis is the series, but most of the video in the beginner tutorial series also uses this one, so you can get it from my Git account. So now you have created this. Now what does small multiple means here? So small multiples means I want the multiple visuals to be displayed with the shared axis, and the objective of small multiples was to have the shared axis. So let's try that out. How does it, how do we do that? So you have this option small multiples here in the properties of the visual, and you can go and drag a category, let's say here. Now once you do the category, you can see the small multiples are created here. You can say category 1, category 2, category 3, category 4. I can go ahead into the format pane and can do certain changes. So let's say I go to small multiple and I go to border, and let's say enable all the borders. So you can see that what all borders are there, and there is a scrolling. So I say, okay, why to have a scrolling? Let's have 3 columns in one. So now you can see 3 columns. Now what is happening here? This value is really small compared to this value. But what's happening right now is, even though it is small, it is actually adjusted to the 6 million range, which is I don't want. So what I go do here is I go to the y-axis, and in the y-axis I go and say, okay, shared axis off. So I don't want a shared axis. So now every visual has their own axis. Now once every visual has their own axis, still it is showing 6 million only. So there we go and say scale to fit. Now scale to fit was disabled before this movement. Now it got enabled and we use. Now so what happened now, it is only from 0 to 200k, while this is still from 0 to 6 million. This is from 0 to 4 million. This is from 0 to 4 million. This is again from 0 to 4 or 5 million. So in this manner, now what is happening, you can read these values better. That's the biggest advantage. So because of this feature, now you will be able to read these values better. Now this is great thing which we wanted that, but now what we wanted to see, is there anything else we can do? And one of the comparison which we do and which small multiple doesn't give us, that I actually don't want these things. I want measures to be, stacked upon one on top of each other. So, and for that we need to take measures into the dimension column, which is, and here the small multiple is a dimension, and measure can become dimension with the help of calculation group, and for that we need to use the external tools. So what I'm going to do here is I have 3 measures: net, gross, net, and margin. So net, gross, and margin, 3 measures I have, and margin is of altogether different range because it is in percentage. Net and gross do have differences. Their scale also doesn't match. So let me create a calculation group for these three things. So what happens in calculation group, we can go and simply create a calculation group is a set of measure and can give it as a name. The simplest version of the calculation group. So we open the external tool tabular editor. I'm using the free version of the tabular editor 2. So you can download it by searching tabular editor, and you can also use it. And if it is properly installed in the external tool, you will get an icon. So if you see here in my external tools, I'm getting this icon because the tabular editor was properly installed. So in the external tool, you'll get an icon. And the advantage of that one is I don't have to tell which model to pick up and all those. I can simply go and the model is already picked up. I right click there and I say create new calculation group, and let me call it as small multiple test or small m, because I want to test the small multiples here. Then you can right click on once this calculation group is created, you can right click and you can say, okay, I want to create new calculation. So let me create new calculation gross. Right now I'm not giving any formula. New calculation group net, and I'm going to add 3 of them, and margin. Now once I've done with this, what I'm going to do is let me write down the measures now, gross. And I remember my measures, so I'm writing it down. Tabular editor 2 might not give you the suggestions. So I go net here and I go and rate margin. Fine. So I written 3 measures, and in the 3 measures, the calculation, basically I could have a complex calculation, but here I don't need anything other than measure. My basic objective is I want a dimension name or the column for these things, which I know calculation group can do for me, and I save it. Here there is no error, so I can go back to my Power BI and is asking me to refresh. So I refresh it. Now again, what I'm going to do is let me do the same exercise this time. So what I want a visual. So I bring in this visual, and in this visual I bring in brand, and I bring in net or something, anything I can bring in. Again, the visual is there now, but this time around I'm not going to go and bring in category. I go to small multiples and it gives me a name, and we can rename it at that. When we were creating, there was an option to rename that, and we bring it here in the small multiples name. Now you see again there are 3 things which is getting created. I'm going to do a little bit of adjustment. So I'm going to go to the format visual, and inside the format visual I'm going to go and say I need 3 rows, but I only need 1 column. So 1 column for now. You can see this now. Again, look, x-axis is showing net, but we know it is gross, margin and net, so we don't need that. So you can go to the x-axis, and in the x-axis you can say I don't want a title now. Where we have stopped title? Oh, we have stopped the x-axis title. We have to stop y-axis title. So we can go to the y-axis and we can say we don't need the title of the y-axis. So y-axis title is not there. Now this is gross, margin and net, but look at the scales. They don't fit in. The margin at least is not visible. Such a low values. And this was the property which we can use to create these kind of visuals, which looks really good. You have net, gross and margin all stacked up one above other. But problem is that small multiples were not scaling. The feature we have used in the past, and I've created the video also. So we say, okay, now we disable the share axis and scale to fit. Now look at it. Now what is the advantage of these things? Why do we see these 3 measures of different categories together? There is a reason. Let me convert it into a line. Now once I convert it into a line, so what we see is, especially like right now we have all the lag measures. There is no lead measures. But what happens when you have lag measures and the lead measures? Lead measures are something which tells you that, things may happen in the future. So like what happened in case of sales in a store, footfall is a lead measure. If the footfall is decreasing, the sales will decrease ultimately. But these are all the lag measures. So, but still we can see, okay, see my net and gross will follow the same path unless the discounting goes to here and there. But you can see that, though the margin is not so much going down when my sale went down. So the percentage of margin has a real less impact when it went down. I was still able to manage my margins. But when it peaked up, when the sale peaked up, the margin actually is losing. See, this is what the advantage of links together. See, the gross is peaking up, the net is peaking up. So gross peaks up, the net peaks up, the margin going down. And the margin is still, see, everything going down, but margin has reached at the bottom. And when everyone reached at the bottom, the margin is rising. So margin is not behaving the same manner, because this is what the discounting is playing a role. So we could add now discount as part of this one and compare how the discounting is playing in a role. So this is the advantage of having the majors together on an axis and looking at those trends, so we can compare what is happening. Now, if it is a lead and lag major together, then we know, okay, if my lead major started falling, my lag major like sales will fall, and we know that this trend is coming. We can predict future by looking, okay, the lead major is going down, so lag may also follow soon. And looking at the past trend, we can do that. So these are few ways you can make your analysis really interesting. And this is one feature which only right now can come with the help from calculation group. So use the calculation group and make this really interesting visual. And do let me know what else you want me to cover in this particular series. Thanks for watching this video. Thank you. Keep watching, keep asking questions in comments, subscribe to my channel and press the bell icon so that you can get notification for new videos. Thank you.